I probably do most of my shopping online, because what do? I work all the time, and then I go home, play with my dog, and
I think it's
watch
also
America's Next Top Model. So
I think
you do your online ordering.
All right. I think a lot of people, it's a mixture of like, it's the context too. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't grow up going to comic book stores and having their taste change while they're going to a comic book store and knowing, oh yeah, the place is ridiculous and has a ridiculous name, but I can buy 8-Ball there, you know, it's fine. But I think a lot of people who read stuff like Paper Rad, let's say, they wouldn't even think that a comic book store is where you get a Paper Rad comic, the new Paper Rad book.
Well, because they don't see it as a comic.
Right, they don't see it as part of that world at all. Like, because at our store, I have like a really small, curated bookstore, and we have a small section of comics. And the people who shop and buy comics there, I don't think they really connect what we're doing to anything else but like, you know, but like modern art stuff that's going on, and like music, and you know what I mean, how they link it to local record label stuff and like weird stuff. It's now shifted. Not all artists are doing this. Like their work has to be fashionable in a certain way for that energy to be there. But you know, someone like Adrian Tumine is very interesting in that way as well. Like he sells to a lot of people who, you know, they like the way it looks. You know, they're not going to go a month after reading Shortcomings, pass by like a comics and cards place and be like, oh yeah, comics, Adrian Tumine. That represents something else. What Adrian does is not that world. It's more like the Tokyon Anthem. You know what I mean? New Yorker, whatever.
And it makes sense. I mean, ultimately, it's a function of culture. It's like, right, you've just read Alison Bechdel's book. Somebody gave it to you. You thought, great, graphic novels. This is great. But yeah, why would you ever go into a place like, and this is a great store in New York, like, I love Jim Hanley's, great store. But if you've only read the Alison Bechdel book, and there's a giant life-size silver surfer in the window, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I like Silver Surfer.
Right.
The point is, there's no context. There's no way.
But in some ways,
and more to the point, they don't need to. They can go to Barnes & Noble and get it.
And in some ways, it's good. Like last night, me and Alvin were talking to Jaime Hernandez, you know, and he was talking about how like the world was like the comics world was a little bit smaller, you know, and nowadays you can't keep up with everything that's going on. You know, you don't need, like an artist can like be a part of a comics world and sell a lot of books, some sort of graphic novel, whatever, and not know who Chris Ware is. Yeah. Like there are so many weird universes now, whereas in the mid '90s, the late '90s, it was like newspaper, alternative, you know, mainstream. You know, it's like now what we're talking about, the dork. What was that thing? The penny arcade.
Oh yeah,
that online thing has its own convention. You know, and those guys are like in their own little world. So in some ways, it's good. Like, it's kind of nice for comics. We aren't all like chewing. We're not all like chewing.
But on the other hand, it does create. I mean, in terms of distribution, it's very problematic because there's just no clear way to. There's not a comics. Like Alvin and I both know that like,
an audience. It's hard to find that audience.
Chicago comics and Quimby's, and you know we know the cities our stuff is going to be in.
Right. There's the 10 shops, and then it seems like every book you have to market it a separate way, and it's just inefficient. It's just a huge problem.
And also it doesn't feel like those shops. Yeah, it's just strange.
I find
it's the same numbers.
I find it's well. Like I look at the reader, I look at the customer thing, you know, because as a retailer, I see that like. Like, how do you find, like, you know that there's an audience for these books. You know it's there, because I see these people come in, and you know what kind of things that they'll like based on what they're buying, but it's a really hard thing, because you're cultivating, I feel like, the stuff Picture Box and Buenaventura Press is doing, you know, mainly these two publishers, you know, and then the sort of artists at the established publishing houses. It's like, finding that audience, because you know it's there.
They're definitely there, because I agree with Dan. It's just like, that's what I've been grappling with for the past year, is that all our online sales are huge. I mean, that's where all our time and energy is going to, and we're finding it that the people I work with, at Buenaventura Press, we can't even work on the books because we're just fulfilling the online orders. So it's how do we get the distribution so we don't have to take care of these online orders?
I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it's possible.
I know, and it's just
weird.
like, it's so hard to. There's so many European.
You might be right. Maybe this audience is about buying it online, like you're saying.
Because where would I mean? It's not like getting our stuff in bed. Like we're in everywhere.
It
That
doesn't.
these people
That's
go,
the other
right?
thing. Like
What there needs to be is a fulfillment house for people that are interested.
Oh well, there's that.
Have you ever tried correlating your shipping addresses to where stores are? In other words, you got all these online
Cross-referencing.
orders,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
cross-reference
thinking.
where you're actually shipping them to, and see what kind of stores are in that area. Because of course, well, there's probably not any stores.
Well, the issue is not getting it into Barnes and Nobles. Like when I do a book, right? Like a book like Poor Sailor,
Right.
it's carried by Ginkgo Press, which get all their books everywhere. The issue is not like your book is everywhere. Like your book nowadays is out, it's there, but it's like how someone's not going to look for it. You know what I mean? Like they have to. What's going to make someone? I don't understand people at all. Like once we did this retail thing, I realized I don't understand human beings.
I really think the online thing is either getting a fulfillment house or something. But to me, increasingly that feels like the future. It's just.
Well, that's why Fantagraphics did their deal with Diamond, or a big part of it. They moved all their stuff out of doing direct sales to
Right.
people and stopped working with Tony Shen. Right?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they had pretty much like an employee and a half dedicated to fulfilling orders
Sure.
and from individual stores and making sure that those, and then they can kind of put that all on the distributor. So even at that,
Oh yeah.
that type of company, there's a real impetus to kind of
It makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm with you.
to,
Like,
depending
these
on
guys
their
are so
distribution.
I mean, as a cartoonist, I feel like this is this whole line of thinking is so ridiculous because you can never get to like an answer. You know what I mean? So I try not to focus on this stuff. I see it when I work a shift in the store, and I'm like, what are these? Who are these people, and what are they buying? You guys, I don't know. It seems like it's something that's just going to sort of shift and move around.
Yeah.
This is like what
It's something
every,
I try not to think about.
This is what every comic book retailer thinks every like alternative panel is like. Just guys up here kind of grousing about comic shops.
I love the thing is, I love
stores.
stores.
That's the problem.
That's the problem is that like we do love comic books.
I like
and we love comic shops.
moldy cardboard, but I like everything about.
Now you're saying their shops are dirty and moldy.
Yeah. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Does someone have a question? Anyone have a question other than that guy? Yeah. Please.
How are you guys finding the most effective way of advertising yourselves online? Because obviously, doing comic book stores is really hard. But is the customers really just coming to you, or you guys put the word out there too?
At least in my case, customers tend to follow the artists. So a lot of people search for an artist and then come to me. A lot of people, Picturebox now is a little bit of a brand name. So I mean, I found that, whereas before it was maybe 70% being referenced from other sites, now it's almost 70% direct hits, just people actually punching in Picturebox. So it's a combination of people looking for artists and people just looking for what it is that Picturebox is doing that week. Advertising, I do some, like I've advertised in Comics Reporter, and it helps, but nothing is as effective as a really well-placed blog entry on Boing Boing or something like that. That makes a huge difference.
Boing Boing's huge. Arthur's big. Just going to different shows around the world. If go to a European show, we'll just get a load of orders from that